to the council meeting, and I remind you that the meeting is being recorded and live streamed. I'd ask everyone to please turn your mobile phones to silent mode. Please be aware that a hearing loop is available in the chamber and there are staff available to assist you should you require it. Please remain quiet in the audience so everyone can hear the meeting. Anyone disrupting the meeting may be asked to leave. I'd remind everyone that planning meetings do not have public question time. If you'd like to submit a public question, please refer to the Information Council's website. The City of Casey acknowledges that we are on the traditional land of the Bunurong and Wurundjeri people, and we pay our respects to elders past and present. Councillors, I have two apologies tonight, that of Councillor Aziz and Councillor Rosario. Given that every other councillor is in the chamber, is there a mover and seconder to accept the apologies of Councillor Aziz and Councillor Rosario? Moved by Councillor Ablett, seconded by Councillor Rowe. If there is no dissent, then that item is carried. Is there a mover and seconder to confirm the minutes of the planning meeting held on Tuesday the 12th of June 2018? Moved by Councillor Flannery, seconded by Councillor Saray. If there is no dissent, then that item is carried. Does any council have any conflict of interest or personal interest that they wish to declare? Interest must also be declared immediately before the consideration of any item. If there are no declarations of conflict of interest, we'll move on to officers' reports. Are there any items councillors wish to have withdrawn for further consideration? Councillors, I'll be withdrawing item 2.1 this evening myself. If there are no other items that are being withdrawn, is there a mover and seconder to adopt the recommendations contained in items 1.1 and 7.1? Moved by Councillor Cristani, seconded by Councillor Stapleton. If there is no dissent, then that item is carried. Councillors, as you've seen, I've withdrawn item 2.1 as withdrawn by myself, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Flannery. Councillors, I've withdrawn this item tonight because, and I'll ask Ms Duncan to step up and just give us a bit of an update on item 2.1. You'll see that there's been some very successful VCAT decision for council in this, and really in particular ensuring that the right infrastructure is put in place before plans go ahead. But before I do that, I might slightly go off topic and talk to councillors. The team at planning has been working very, very hard. As you know, they've been reducing our statutory days and they've been doing a fantastic job. Tonight we actually have members of our surge team that have been leading the charge in the gallery, and so from all of us and myself out of the chair, I really want to thank you all for the work that you have been doing. It's been absolutely noticed by this council and we're super proud of the planning department and everything that has happened so far, so congratulations and thank you so much from us. Councillors, in terms of the improvements that we're seeing in planning, you'll also see next planning meeting a new draft, a new version of the way planning is reported to council. It's a more streamlined, more efficient, more effective way to report these to council. Not only that, councillors, it's going to save the officers time up to 2 hours every report that they have to do. That is key time that they can put back into actually making planning decisions. So thank you very much to the team working on that and for the briefing I received tonight on that. Ms Turner, did you want to just give us a bit of an update on item 2.1?
Thank you, Mr Chairman. Just briefly, so the table to 2.1 now includes a full 12 months worth of contested decisions from VCAT that we've been involved with. It's been suggested to me whether we can break that into ward categories, and we're happy to do that. That'd be fine to do that. In terms of reflecting on that 12 months, there's only been 24 contested appeals at VCAT. Now, if you put that into the context of over 1,200 planning decisions for the whole year, it's a very small amount and really goes to the heart of the fact that we do try to seek outcomes that avoid matters escalating to VCAT. In terms of those matters that do escalate to VCAT, of those 24, we've won 58% of those throughout the year. Tonight, we've just reported on 4 decisions. 2 of them we successfully mediated before a full contested hearing, so we always try to do that before the formal VCAT process. And the 3rd and 4th matters that are listed there, we were successful in upholding the council decision. As the Councillor Jackson has indicated. The last one in particular was significant and is instructive in terms of some of the work we're doing down in the growth area, and it goes to the heart of ensuring that we've got proper infrastructure in place before subdivision development occurs. So it's a really useful decision, and we'll continue to work with the Victorian Planning Authority and Vic Roads in terms of making sure that that infrastructure doesn't hold up those development outcomes.
Thank you very much. Councillors, if there is no dissent to that item, then that item is carried. Councillors, that concludes the planning meeting for this evening. We have a general purpose meeting shortly. There is a quick briefing for all councillors in the pre-council chamber, so that we can please move there now. Thank you.
Yep.
And a tight ship.
I don't think David's doing the briefing, so...
Yeah. I can always go back to the tape, but I'm pretty sure it's... Yep.
Yeah, it's only
briefly, Councillor Flannery had to go home because he's ill, so I'd like to nominate Councillor Cristani to chair the general purposes meeting. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Jackson, is there any dissent on that? It is carried, so I'll hand over to Councillor Cristani. Thank you.
I was going to second it. Nobody listened.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome everyone. I welcome you, the public and the media, to the general purpose meeting and remind you that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed. I would like to ask everyone to please turn all mobile phones to silent for the duration of the meeting. Please be aware that a hearing loop is available. Staff members are able to assist you with this at any time during the meeting. Please remain quiet in the gallery so that everyone can hear the meeting. Anyone disrupting the meeting may be asked to leave. I would like to remind everyone that general purpose meetings do not have public question time. If you would like to submit a public question, please refer to the information available on Council's website or contact customer service. The City of Casey acknowledges that we are on the traditional land of the Bunurong and the Wurundjeri people and pay respects to all elders past and present. We have apologies from Councillor Flannery, who, as the Mayor said, he's not well tonight, and he gives his apologies. We also have Councillor Aziz and Councillor Zara as an apologies. Do I have a mover and seconder to accept the... Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillor... So sorry, Councillor Ablett, moved by Councillor Ablett, seconded by Councillor Gillage. Is there a dissent on this? That is carried. Declaration by councillors of any conflict of interest or personal interest pursuant to Section 79 and 79B of the Local Government Act 1989, the Act, in any items on the notice paper. Does any councillors have a conflict of interest or personal interest that they wish to declare? Interest may also be declared immediately for consideration of the item. Do we have any declarations? No? Before we move to officers' reports, I would like to remind everyone that General Purpose Committee is an advisory committee and no monetary funds can be committed at these meetings. There are two presentations tonight. First, we have one from Inclusion Melbourne. Can I ask Mr Andrew James and Mr Carmine Laghi from Inclusion Melbourne to come down to the lectern? Well, welcome. Thank you for coming tonight.
No worries.
And I believe the Mayor, Councillor Ablett, invited you, and so Councillor, as a collective, accepted unanimously your invitation here, and we look forward to hearing you. You have 10 minutes for your presentation. There will be time after for questions.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thanks very much, everyone, for having us along this evening, and I'd like to acknowledge Jeff too for getting us on the agenda. So thanks for that. We really appreciate coming along and having the opportunity to be in front of you today. My name's Andrew James. I'm the CEO of Inclusion Melbourne. We are the oldest intellectual disability service provider in Victoria, having been in existence nearly 70 years. We're here tonight because we're looking for opportunities to partner with council in the area through Casey, given that there's going to be significant demand for potentially a lot of unmet service need for people with intellectual disability through this region over the next couple of years, and particularly with the increased rollout of the National Disability Insurance. So what I'd like to do is hand over to Carmen Laghi. He's not only a resident of Casey, but he's also the head of our personalised supports division. He's going to give you a little bit of an understanding of our unique service model and how we provide services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Thank you, everyone, for having us here tonight. Wonderful. It's red. Green. Got it, Renee. Thank you. I'll just get this working. Wonderful. Thank you. So it's great to be here tonight, and it's great for a couple of reasons. It's great to have the opportunity to speak to you, and it's also really good because I only live 10 minutes from here, so I can get home really, really quickly after this. As Andrew said, we are the oldest day service in Victoria, nearly heading up to 70 years old, and we support about 130 people across 23 LGAs. We were founded by a group of parents, like a lot of disability services were, essentially a group of people who could imagine a better life for their children than the options that were available at the time, which was St Nicholas Hospital in Carlton or Kew Cottages or Janefield. And today, much like those families, those first families, Inclusion Melbourne still looks for opportunities and solutions that imagine a better life for people with intellectual disabilities, rather than accepting the standard options that are available to people as a general rule. We call the model of support that we offer personalised supports, and essentially what that means is that we work with each person in a very unique way to build a lifestyle and identity for that person as a member of their community. So instead of being the person that goes to what we used to be, which is more a traditional day service where people would be in a centre and do activities together with other people with disabilities, we want to build lifestyles and opportunities for people, so they're known as the kid that works at Bunnings, or the kid that's in my neighbourhood house literacy class, or the person that volunteers with me, or is in my art group, in ordinary generic opportunities that are available to every member of the community, not ones that are designed specifically to segregate people with disabilities. Some of the services that we offer, and as Andrew alluded to, the NDIS is here and is coming to Casey. Under the NDIS, these are some of the services that we offer: personalised support coordination services. We are also a registered training organisation and deliver accredited and pre-accredited courses. We offer a program that we call Discovery, which is a unique offering where young people coming out of specialist schools can go into a transition program where they can do a little bit of accredited study and have opportunities to do activities or placements out in the community, get some experience and kind of acclimatise to being out of that specialist setting. And we offer volunteer supports. We have over 200 volunteers in the organisation at present. This gives you an example of the model that we used to run and what most day services run on the left there. So there's a central day service. People drive in from home to the day centre. They spend their day doing activities in the day centre and then they go back home. And it's always seemed a little bit strange to us that in the name of inclusion, people are busting out of their community where they live to go and do activities in a centre and then come back home again, all in the name of being included. The model on the right there is the model that we offer, where the person is the centre of the service, and the whole service is designed around them with the idea of building an identity and opportunities for them as a member of that community. So it's close to home. They have opportunities to have friendships, relationships, meaningful activity in their local community. This is how we kind of like to think about inclusion, and for us inclusion, you could almost swap the word out and say welcome. So when we support a person to do something help them join a club or get some part-time work, we want them to be more than just pleasantly tolerated. You know, we want them to be welcomed. We want them to be missed when they're not there. I love it when someone rings me up and says, you know, why didn't somebody tell us that this person wasn't coming today? We were worried sick about them. That's the kind of thing we want to achieve, that sense of people seeing the people we support more the same as them rather than different. Yeah, so we talk a lot about welcome. Now, why do we do this? And there's a whole range of reasons why. Some of those, have to do with our values and our mission, and some have to do with very practical things. But essentially, it's about building an identity for people, and an identity different to one that we saw people have when they were segregated and grouped together only with other people with disabilities, and believing that that was the only option that was available for them for the rest of their lives. And probably the easiest way I could explain this to you is to tell you about a young man I worked with called Mark. Mark never spoke to anybody except when he swore at you if you asked him a question. And one day he was walking past my office and I said to him, Mark, if you could be anyone in the world, who would you be? And it was really strange because first he stopped and looked at me, and Mark never made eye contact with me or anybody. And the second thing is that he answered, and he answered by saying, I'd be my brother. And being shocked, that he actually stopped and spoke to me, I said, why, Mark? And he said, because he drives and he's got a job. Now, I'd known Mark at that stage for 3 or 4 years. I'd done a dozen different planning systems with him. My background's in special ed. I like to think I'm a recovering special ed teacher now, but I'd done a dozen different things with him, but nothing told me more about what really mattered to him more than that 30 seconds in that interaction. He just wanted a life like his brother. He wanted an ordinary life. And so today, this is what we try to give to people, the opportunity to feel like their brother, their sister, like the people they see on TV, just an ordinary experience of life. And we take that so much for granted, but the people we support only aspire to those kinds of experiences and opportunities, and to have that sense of feeling, to feel that I'm worth the same as others. We also do this by trying to validate people's identity as equals and members of the community. We do this by building valued roles for people, and also by building friendships and relationships in their lives. and also through community development. And I've got Dane County there. I was fortunate enough about 11 years ago to go to Dane County in North America, where a lot of personalised support started. And they hadn't had segregated anything for 30 years. There were no special schools, there were no day centres, there were no sheltered workshops or employment services of that kind. All those services had transitioned and offered opportunities for people to be integrated with everyone else. So I met a young man working in a bank with autism, and I asked the manager, how did you come to have this guy in your business? And he said, oh, we were in the same PE class together. We just grew up as kids together. To them, having people with disabilities all around them was just ordinary, and they never experienced anything different. And, you know, 2 counties away, there were long-stay hospitals with 150 people still in old traditional style institutions. So it was a learning for me to say that if we can do this with 1, we can do it with 2. If we can do it with 2, we can do it with 4. If we can do it with 4, we can do it with 8. And so Inclusion Melbourne has modelled itself off these kinds of principles, and these are the services that we offer to people today. And this sense of, and essentially identity and validation is really about meeting people's needs. And when we talk about needs, it's not their needs like that they need a wheelchair or they need a communication device. These are needs, of course, as well. They're disability-specific needs. But the needs that people have that go unmet the most are ordinary human needs. The opportunity to feel that I have the same worth as you, to have a friend in my life, someone who's not paid to be with me. And these needs are met by everybody, regardless of severity or degree of disability. In many ways, some of the people we work with who don't have the same level of communication and abilities as other people, they still feel the absence of things they can't name. They still feel these things missing in their life. And we've recognised this to be a truism because we see it across the board. Feeling that you have worth is true for any person, regardless of level of ability or disability. And so these are some of the opportunities we want to provide to people. I'll speed up a little bit. I'm sorry, I know I'm getting close to time. So how do we do this? We support people and families to imagine something better, and this is through what we call building right relationship. And we even have a kind of a phrase that we use that I say to my staff, you need to have 100 cups of tea with a family. You need to sit at their dining table, have 100 cups of tea. It's a metaphorical 100 cups of tea. To build the kind of relationship that we want to be in with families, about imagining a better life for their son or daughter, and then going out and building this in the community with them. And challenging unhelpful, established thoughts and practices that limit people's lives. I'll tell you just quickly around...
Madam Chair, could I just move an extra five minutes for Carmine so he does a really comprehensive, not rushed presentation,
Okay,
please?
thank you. I'd like to move that... sorry, no.
I'll move it. If
Councillor
someone...
Ablett moves it, seconded by Councillor Gillich. Thanks, yes. You can talk for a bit longer.
Wonderful, thank you. Apologies for going over. So in terms of building valued roles and opportunities for people, I'll just tell you quickly about Morgan. Morgan's a young man who came to our service, and 6 months into the service, I had a meeting with his mum. It was a very tearful meeting, and she thought that the opportunities just weren't going to happen for her son because his disability and his support needs were too high. We had a long conversation about what might happen if we persevered. If we fast forward a few years down the track, this is Morgan now. Morgan has an award wage job at Bunnings. He's also a volunteer at the MCG Sports Museum, where he takes tours of other people around through the museum. And this is a life that he has now, as opposed to what was going to be his life, which was sitting in a day centre doing group activities, filling in time, essentially. He has a life and roles in his life now that validate his sense of sameness and equality, and that he has something to offer and contribute. And how do we do this? We do this by building friendships and relationships and natural supports with people. And by natural supports and relationships, we mean about when somebody goes to do an activity, whether it's a part-time job, how do we get the people in that environment to engage with this person, to understand about how to support them, to provide supports to that person? Relationships is a really key area for us because one of the most significant poverties the people we support have is a poverty of freely given relationship. When I started at Inclusion Melbourne, I used to map people's lives out around their relationships, and one of the things I found was over 70% of the people that I did this work with had not one person in their life who wasn't paid to be with them, which said to people will only be with me if someone gives them money to do it. No one will spend time with me just because they want to. And you can see some of the statistics borne out here in 2013 productivity report, commission report around some of the lack of freely given relationship people have in their lives. And we talk about natural support. So Michael is one of the gentlemen up there. When Michael came to Inclusion Melbourne, he used to cut out pictures of cars and put them in a scrapbook, because that's what he did at the day centre before he came. We said, there's got to be 100 ways he could do something with cars. We found a local garage. We went to speak to these people. We got him in there. He started off just putting the tools away on the shadow board. This photo, Michael's still there. This photo was taken about 6 years ago, and he's still there now. He's been there 10, 11 years. You can see now him standing there. He doesn't look like someone who has the identity of a client of a day centre. He looks like someone who says, I'm one of the guys down at the local garage. That's the identity that validates his sense of self. So what are we proposing? We're proposing to establish a presence in Casey. We already work with a number of families out this way, and we're getting more and more requests and demand for our unique model of service. And to provide additional authentic inclusive opportunities for people with intellectual disabilities, and build the capacity of Casey to accept and welcome people. Because sometimes people want to do this, but they're not quite sure how. And that's something that we can assist with by doing things one person at a time, as we say. So we can do this and change the world one garage at a time, you know, or one Bunnings at the time. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmine. I appreciate your, yes. Thank you to you both for presenting. Yes, so we'll go to questions. Your work is amazing, and interesting that you gave us that story on with Mark, that window in time that you were able to get that threshold where, I guess you have that particular gift as well, that you'll be able to reach them and then find out their true soul. So that's wonderful. Yes. So thank you for your work. We'll go to Councillor Ablett, the Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank Andrew and Carmen. We met, and what you do reinforces. I did a bit of special ed training myself, and they put up this thing called the Western Economic Framework, where if you're outside the box and you're economically viable, you're important, but if you're inside the box, you're undervalued because you had a disability. And the figures that you put up tonight validate that, and I think it's really important, the work you do, that, and that's why we have an Access and Inclusion Committee who work very hard to do programs or promote programs that you're suggesting tonight. We also have a Community Engagement Committee who work very hard at supporting things like you've put up tonight. So I might, when the time's right, maybe add to the recommendation, if I may. Right. Can I do that? We'll take some more questions first, and I might finish. You might come back to me when everyone's had their questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Have we got any other questions for Carmine? No? Well, to you.
I'd just like to add a second point, if I may, Madam Chair, that Inclusion Melbourne meet with the Access and Inclusion Committee, with members from the Access and Inclusion Committee and members from the Community Engagement Committee, along with any interested councillors, which would include myself, is that, and to further develop inclusion, to further develop an approach to promoting Inclusion Melbourne activities in Casey.
Excellent. So, are you happy with that?
Yes, I think so, unless any other councillor wants to add to it, or...
Can I just ask, so you wanted to establish a presence in Casey. Are you looking at having your own hub? Is that what you, or...?
Essentially, if we could get some assistance with establishing an opportunity to occupy a building or some space where we could set up an office and provide some services out of that base, that would be fantastic.
Perhaps, Mr. Councillor Ablett, would there be an option, or maybe go to officers for advice about perhaps looking at meeting to discuss opportunities with other officers?
Well, sorry, I should have put officers in there as well, plus relevant officers.
So outside the access and inclusion, because this deals with strategic planning,
Yeah.
isn't it? Possibly.
Strategic planning.
Or maybe not so, but community hubs, or community.
Through
Through the
you,
CEO.
Madam Chair. Just the first point I'd make is that we do have an Access and Inclusion Committee, as you're well aware, councillors. We don't have a Community Engagement Committee.
We have an officer, community engagement officer.
Yeah. So can I suggest to the councillors that that read to meet with members from the Access and Inclusion Committee and with relevant council officers?
Yep.
That would be fine.
Thank you for that.
Yes. So just to let you know, myself and Councillor Smith are co-chairs of the Access and Inclusion Committee. So and Councillor Stapleton, forgive me. No, there's other councillors too. So so you've certainly, got our ears as well. So if you're happy with that.
Very happy.
Smith?
Yep. Unless other councillors might clarify something more meaningful and relevant, like Mr. Fitcher just did, I'm happy with that.
I'm quite happy. I think that deals with both of those issues.
Okay,
Councillor
thank you.
Stapleton, would you like to second that? Councillor Stapleton? Sorry, would you like to second that? Yes. So if moved by Councillor Abbott. No, that's okay. Just thought I got to make sure I include you too. Okay, do I have any dissent on that? No? Well, that's carried. And thank you very much, and I hope we can assist you further.
Wonderful.
Thank you very
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for the presentation. We look forward now. We're going to hear from a very important group of young people. We have the Casey Youth Action Committee. Thank you very much for coming tonight. You guys fill out the gallery very well. May I ask representatives from the Casey Youth Action Committee to come down to the lectern, please? Thank you all. You have 10 minutes for your presentation. We'll wait till you get set up and then we'll start the clock. Thank you.
The Casey Youth Action Committee, CYAC, provides the opportunity to engage young people in decision-making and community life by supporting them to take the lead role in identifying issues of importance and assistance in developing relevant strategies. This formed the basis of their project work during the 12-month committee term. The year 2017-2018 saw the CYAC embark on 5 projects: Casey in Colour, Aboriginal Cultural Awareness, Women in Sport and Recreation, Community Inclusion and the Natural Environment. Each project was established with a Casey Council partnership, which enabled greater awareness about the Casey community. This was a major contributor to the success that each project had and increased community engagement. These projects were created in consultation with stakeholders, community members, and young people from diverse backgrounds and life experiences.
The environment of planet Earth is huge, 7.6 billion people and 510 million square kilometres. That is a big environment, an environment that seemingly more than ever humanity seems perfectly content with decimating, destroying and forgetting it. All it takes is one person to make a difference in the world and start changing things for the better. This is exactly what we, the environment team, are doing. Just 7 people coming together out of the 7.6 billion. Starting something new, starting to make a difference. So what are we doing, I hear you ask? Listening to our community, finding out what the environment means to them. We can focus on future projects to improve how we perceive the environment. In the first stages of developing our project, some of our ideas included increasing awareness of community gardens, creating resources for schools, getting young people involved in the future green spaces of the newly developed estates, trash art competitions with art to be displayed at Bunjil Place, a social media competition with workshop and a summit for young people to gather and celebrate their common interest. After much deliberation, we were then connected with Mandy Neve from City of Casey, who told us about the work already undertaken by Council.
We've been in collaboration with Mandy since December to help bring the Plant Your Roots event to life. This event is a tree planting day which has been held every year for the past 3 years. This community event invites people of all ages to physically plant their own roots into the land that they live on and create it as their own. The Youth Action Committee is contributing by creating a survey which investigates how the community describes the natural environment, how important it is to them, and what environmental concerns they have. We have been invited to share our survey with the community at several City of Casey events, including the Casey Kids Carnival, the New Joneses at Bunjil Place, and the Plant Giveaway. We have also created some resources to help engage young people with the environment through social media. I know that we have all learnt the value of our environment, the value of sustainability, and how we can work to protect the natural environment for future generations. It has been wonderful to work together as a team in the YAC and develop a project like this from scratch. It is our responsibility, our mission as young people in the City of Casey, to make sure that the people 100 years from now can walk outside, breathe the fresh air, and see the green.
The Bunurong Cultural Connections Project Group were aiming to have more awareness of problems facing the Indigenous Australian community, as well as a better understanding of Indigenous history and culture. We want to break any barriers between the Aboriginal youth and non-Aboriginal youth. This is coming from a group of people who have been recently quite ignorant of Indigenous history most of our lives until recently, who shared their backgrounds and experiences. One of our main goals as a group was to collaborate with the leaders who are part of Koori Youth to enable decisions to be inclusive of everyone in Casey. Our main event was held during Reconciliation Week in partnership with Koori Youth, where we celebrated Aboriginal culture and emanated the 2018 Reconciliation theme, Don't Keep History a Mystery.
This event was held at the Gathering Place in Dufton for all of the young people involved, their friends and family. The evening started with a traditional smoking ceremony with the opportunity to meet all the participants and have them state their name and their mob, where they've come from. A connection started to be created between the different people and was celebrated by a piece of artwork, as you can see up there on the screen. This tree demonstrated the connections that we all had to each other and to the land, especially on that evening. There was a Q&A box as people walked in, and each person was encouraged to write a question that they'd always wanted to know, and that would be answered by a panel of incredible young people from the Koori Youth group. The night was supported by other Aboriginal leaders in the room. There were many amazing things learnt by all on the night, such as the importance of music, dance, Dreamtime stories, and their representation on the culture, culture and society. We finished off with a lovely dinner catered by the Koori Youth Group, which included crocodile, kangaroo, and emu. Both the YAC and the Koori Youth Group were incredibly happy with the success of the event, and we hope to run it annually during Reconciliation Week to continue to keep the bond between the young people strong.
Casey North annual report states that the highest reason for client visits are financial hardship, which came in over 1,000 visits during 2016 and 2017. During our first weeks with the Casey Youth Action Committee, we were invited to attend an information session at Cranbourne Information and Support and Services. During this presentation, our group became aware of the financial problems that most residents in Casey face. Difficulties include paying bills, managing finances, and budgeting. Therefore, as a group, we dedicated to come up with a community project to design an early intervention workshop that can educate young people about managing their personal finances and becoming aware of the financial support and counselling that both information centres can offer.
On Thursday, the 11th of April, the Community Inclusion Group hosted a workshop in conjunction with the Casey North Community Information and Support Service. We provided a seminar to the youth in the area on how they can make the most of their money and stay on top of their finances. Lisa Hansen, the financial counsellor from CNSIS, made the event as interactive as possible by getting the attendees to write a budget, showing informative videos, and handing out gift bags with flyers and booklets, which provided information on how to be money-minded. Some of the young people who attended were looking to move out of home for the first time. Lisa was able to give them practical advice about their living expenses that will be provided to the young people in the City of Casey.
The Active Communities Department, through consultation with the community and stakeholders, identified that there was a gap in the number of women participating in sport and recreational activities. As a result of this, the Casey Youth Action Committee partnered with the City of Casey Community Inclusion Team to launch a 12-month campaign called We Are, We Can, We Will. The campaign aims to provide females of all ages with opportunities to increase their physical activity. The City of Casey Youth Action Committee assisted in planning, development and delivery of the launch of the campaign.
The campaign launch was held on Sunday the 1st of July at the Casey Indoor Stadium. Ashley Howard, a former Melbourne Vixen, kicked off the event with the group workout. Following the group workout, a number of ambassadors from a variety of sporting organisations provided tasters. The tasters allowed women to try a variety of sport workshops in a range of sports, including netball, ultimate frisbee and gymnastics. A highlight of the launch was inspirational guest speaker, Alka Bolan, a dual Olympian who represented Australia through her inspiring messages, motivated all our participants to stay positive through sports and recreation activities. We believe this launch was a great success for those who were there on Sunday. One young girl came and spoke to us about how moved she was about Alka's speech. Finally, we want to say thank you to City of Casey Youth Services staff and the Sports Services staff for helping us make this happen.
Thank you. So that's in a minute now. Thanks, Sarah.
Ooh, awesome. So the City of Casey, Casey Youth Action Committee for 2017 and 2018, we are super proud of all we have achieved this year. We have grown in participants, we've grown in project numbers, we've been able to service the community more, and we have created relationships with City of Casey staff and departments, as well as different organisations, which we are super proud of and hope that we can continue to do in the years to come. Just another thank you to the City of Casey Youth Services staff and all of the staff in the organisation and the councillors for your continued support of the program. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. But thank you very much all for your amazing presentation, and you are our future. So watch out, Casey, into the future. But thank you very much for your service as well. So much that you've been doing, consultation with the environment team. I hope to make it to the planting this year on the Sunday, so that's exciting. I would like to hear Oliver sing his presentation next time. No, I'm just joking. No, that was very good. Well said. And the Corey Gathering Place Day with the youth, amazing. It's great to see that. Now, how was the crocodile, the kangaroo, and missed the third one? What was it? Koala? I'm just joking. I knew she didn't say that. But how did it taste?
It was great.
Really? Sure. Really tough? Oh, good. Oh, so was it like barbecued or sautéed, or how did you have it? Yeah, like KFC. Oh, wow. Yeah, kangaroo fried chicken. No, was it? Kangaroo fried food. And the financial early intervention education, amazing. I'm sure many more people were honoured to be able to be part of that. I didn't get to hear Elka's whole presentation, but amazing engagement, and the fact that Olympian there there at the Cranbourne Casey Sports Centre, which was amazing. So well done for involvement. All those. We were wondering what you were doing, if you were busy and out of trouble. No, but we're glad that you're a part of our team. So thank you. We'll go to the Mayor and we'll take other questions. Comments.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I just want to say that the We Are Can We Will campaign, which focused on getting an equalisation of opportunity for women to participate in sport and also in decision-making in sport. And it wasn't just about women, it was about getting men involved to help with that program. I thought it was really fantastic, and Elka was just unbelievable. She had her Olympic medals there, and she was very tall, and she had elbows a bit like Madam Chair on a netball court. What a wonderful speaker, one of the best speakers I've ever listened to. And what I liked, it wasn't just a motivational speaker, she was very informative. She said how she handled things as she got better up through the ranks, when other girls would put her down about her shape, what she did, all because she was a little bit different, because she was a little bit better in swimming. And she actually gave out some really important messages for young people and particularly young girls, and she spoke to one little girl who ended up in tears, if you remember. It was very emotional, but she gave out a lot of information on how to handle people, and she said, it's not you, it's them. And that was the message that I got out of the day, that when people do say nasty things, I mean, normal people don't go around destroying things, they build them up, but you do, envy and jealousy is alive and well, and when young women particularly get, and we see some sad stories on the news of young girls with self-harm and suicide, and what I felt really proudly about the way it spoke was it was an information session as much as a life's great session. It can be great as long as you handle it the right way, and she gave a lot of skills to girls and ideas to girls on how to handle people who bully them, who put them down. And I remember saying she put up all these positive stickers in her room, so every morning she woke up, she was surrounded with positive stuff. She chose the people she mixed with positive people, and really gave a recipe for success for anyone who really wanted to listen to her. And I hope we can get her back, because for those who didn't hear it, it was one of the best speeches I've heard, not because it was all razzmatazz about you can do it. She actually gave out the information on how to do it and be the best you can be, and be take control of yourself. And it's not you. If people are picking on you, it's not you. And be brave enough and resilient enough and hang around the right people. And I just thought she was excellent, and I thought the way it was organised, I didn't know much about it, but it was one of the best sessions I've been to. And particularly, Madam Chair, you're one with the pushing for the female facilities at the Narre Warren Football Netball Club. One of our priorities is, and particularly to all the young ladies here, is to get up to speed with equal opportunity, in particularly facilities, and in any way, shape we can, in positions, and particularly for young girls, young ladies. So we are up to speed on that, and we all support that. So if you have any ideas, or you see areas where we as a council can help balance the ship, I think we've started, we're on our way, but we're not there yet. And that's why we need to look at change rooms at Narre Warren and across a whole range of areas to make it equal for everybody. And just an absolutely great day to go to. I just felt proud sitting there as a resident to listen to the great work that the youth team have done. So keep up the great work. It is outstanding. All the community may not know it, but those that were there in the paper, hopefully it's a ripple effect. It'll get out there and the story will spread. But keep up the great work, because it was an absolutely fantastic day.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. It was very well said. I think that all matters when it's all said and done, what Elka was trying to get across. I think perhaps that would be good if Elka can come back, and that the Action Committee, could attend. The gifts and skills that you have, gifts that you were born with, you can help fulfill what you are meant to do in this life. So I think that's really important. So thank you for all your work.
Madam Mayor, I've thought of something else. Can I just add to the recommendation?
Oh, yes, thanks. Before you do, Mr. Mayor, can I just ask if there's any other questions or comments?
Yep.
Thanks. Councillor Smith.
Just a statement. First lesson, don't put a Mentos in your mouth. Thanks for the presentation. I know some of you, don't know some of you, know some of you too well. A bit of a problem. But I want to congratulate you in putting yourself up to be on the committee for starting and sticking it out. But the thing I always want to see is stick around. Don't be strangers. Come back involved in other things. Keep involved in your community. If you're studying, don't worry about your ATAR score. ATAR, don't worry about that. And I'm a teacher, so I can say that. Keep involved, no matter what. It's a really important part of life is volunteer work and community work. And you're looking at a room full of people who very much speak that all the time. So well done. Congratulations.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. He says, he is a bail justice, so he says if he knows you too well. I'm a bit worried about that, but no, that's okay.
Oh, I've only seen it.
That's all right. Now I'm going to go to our portfolio holder for youth, which is Councillor Saray, so thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank you all for taking the time out to come tonight, and I know every minute that you spend part of the Youth Action Committee is volunteer, and that's very commendable. And as young people, we should always be volunteering in our community, and you should be very, very proud of yourselves. And thank you for having some structure. It's really important when there's a lot of things that as young people we want to talk about, we want to think about, we want to find solutions for, and it's great that you've got a structure here, you know, tackling different types of issues. But I hope that next year, I think, should broaden it up a little bit, which is really great. And it's just, you know, it's your opinions matter, and we always love to hear from you because we don't really hear from youth that often. In this sort of scenario, so we love to hear from you. So thank you very much for your time, and thank your parents every time they drive you to things. That's really important too. So thank you to parents as well. Thank you.
Councillor Ray was the youngest ever elected councillor at the age of 20. So
22.
22. And has been re-elected. So a few of you might not be far off that. And we have council elections in a couple of years, so you just never know. So. All right, so have you got any comments or anything to feedback? Or?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Mr Mayor, Councillor Ablett, and Madam Chair, Councillor Rosario. Sorry, Cristani. Sorry, pardon. And Councillor Smith and Councillor Saray for your very kind words. It was fantastic having some of the councillors attend our sport and recreation project, especially some male participation, which definitely feeds into the theme. It's not just female participation, it is participation of all. So it was fantastic to have you there. And just to continue...
Sarah, and I'll go now to the Mayor who's going to complete the recommendation.
I'm going to have to try it anyway. So what I would like to do is add a second point, that Council investigate a half-day youth forum to support youth a female youth forum. Half-day female youth forum, with the aim of Elka Whalen being invited to speak at this forum. Does that make sense? Because I just thought she was so brilliant. If we could get a whole group of young, old, particularly young women who find it even hard to know how to get into a sport, and for her on a larger scale than what we saw at the We Are, We Can, We Will, I think it would be absolutely outstanding if we could pack the place out and have her on stage speaking to all the young women who were interested in coming. I think they'd take away something special, because that's what I took away. She is an exceptional speaker, and it's that information, those skills of how to look after yourself if you feel threatened in any way, shape or form, I think is really, really important. So that's why I'm putting that up there.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Is that only females attending
yes,
then?
I was.
Well, I would... how do people feel? I don't want to sound
I'd like
being
to
sexist in any way.
Go to Councillor Stray. She has wanted to input something.
Yep.
Sorry. This is, yeah. Nope. Still nothing. Sorry, I would like to not just have it for female. I think it's an opportunity for a lot of young people. And if you don't mind, Mr Mayor, I'd like to take that out and for it to be open up to all youth.
No, all youth, that's fine.
Especially when we have somebody of such high calibre coming down.
Yeah, it's just that the day spoke mainly about, as you would know, attracting, helping women get into sport and giving them more opportunities than what they've had. But more than happy with that. So
thank you for that change. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Stroke.
That's good. Okay, so moved by Councillor Ablett, seconded by Councillor Saray. Do we have any more comments or questions or any dissent? Well, that is carried. Well, thank you very much, and we look forward to, I hope councillors will be invited to that forum as well. I think that would be amazing. And thank you again for presenting, and we will probably hear from you again at some stage in the future. Okay, thank you. Thank you, colleagues and council directors and CEO.